Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am John Hagen. I'm the chair of the Windham County Democratic Committee, and I am fairly new in the area. So, like, in coming into the party, I realized there was a lot about it I didn't understand and how it was organized. And I thought there'd be a lot of other people, particularly coming into this next election, who'd be very interested in how the Windham County Democratic Party operates in this area, and also how the party operates within the state and what the relationship between those are. So I thought I'd put together a little slideshow, use it as a presentation to pass around. This is a presentation in three parts, really. The first part is just a discussion of political parties in general. What do political parties do? What's their benefit? The second part is about what the Democratic Party in Windham County is, how it's organized, what its purpose is, and what it does. And then the final part is kind of the big action part. Election coming up in November 2020, there's a lot of different activities that go on during that period. And this is to inform everyone of what those activities are, and really an invitation to participate, whether as a group or an individual. This isn't meant to be a formal presentation, so questions during, please go ahead and ask. So my experience with political parties is kind of historical. It is George Washington in his final inaugural address, farewell address, warning us not to get involved in political parties, and then kind of the historical meme of the men in the cigar-filled, smoke-filled room in the back making all the decisions, a rather negative view of what political parties do. However, I had the opportunity a few years ago to be serving with the United Nations in Iraq, and in their political section. And we were looking at a problem where the government was functioning but not connected to the street. And the street and the nonprofits and the civic activists were functioning at the street level, but they weren't connected to the government. And what we were essentially trying to do through the United Nations was build what we consider today modern-day political parties. Because political parties at their best serve as this conduit between the government and the people on the street. They're not the only conduit, but they're a very important structural conduit that allows the people on the street to get their needs and interests and their participation up into the government, and they're also a means for the government to connect with the people down below. So it is an important role, so important that if you look at criteria for what makes a modern democracy, one of the most important things you have to have is at least two competing political parties. So political parties, my experience, and I think is borne out today, is that is the way that we move activity up into the government as the individuals, and it's also the way that the government reaches back to us. In Vermont, we have a very interesting system. When I arrived here 4 years ago, I discovered we don't have to register with a particular party as voters. We just go to our balloting site and we ask on the primary day for the Republican or the Progressive or the Democratic ballot, and we vote on those. Vermonters tend to be very independent, and therefore there's a lot of fluidity in our parties, particularly between the Progressives and the Democrats on the left, the Republicans and the Libertarians on the right. So party membership is a little bit vague in this state, and what exactly does it mean? In Vermont, we have three major political parties. We have three minor parties. Now the difference between those, the major parties, you have to be organized in 30 towns and 7 counties. You participate in the primaries. You have candidates on the local, the county, and the state levels. In the minor parties, you only have to be organized in 10 towns. Please grab a seat. You only have to be organized in 10 towns, and usually you're running candidates just at the local, the house, state house level, and at the state level or the national level. So in Vermont, our three major parties are the Democrats, the Progressives, and the Republicans, and our three minor parties are the Libertarians, the Liberty Union Party, and the Green Mountain Party. Now, one of the interesting things also in Vermont is you can run as an independent and put your own political party designation out there. So you'll look at a Vermont ballot for governor, and you might see what looks like 10 different political parties on the ballot. Most of those are independents who have identified their political designation, their own party. So there is not 10 parties in Vermont, there's 6. Everyone else is self-designated. One of the interesting things I had mentioned before about Vermonters being very independent and party identity being pretty fluid, a good example of that is the results of the very recent November 2018 election. In 2018, our Democratic representative to Congress, Peter Welch, was re-elected with a plurality or a majority of the votes in every county in the state. At the same time, our incumbent senator, Bernie Sanders, was elected with a plurality or majority of every county in the state, and he was running as an independent. And at the exact same time, our governor, running as an incumbent, a Republican, won the plurality or the majority in every county except for one, which would be this county, Windham County. So a really interesting example of how in one state the Democrats can dominate one space, the Republicans in another, and the progressives in another space. So that speaks really to the fluidity. Vermonters do not vote the ticket. They tend to vote for the individual, and they tend to vote on the policies that concern them at a very local level. Which brings us to the Windham County Democratic Committee, because we are the local level. And what is it that we do at the county level as a party to address the concerns, the issues of the individuals, and help connect them to the government policy? Well, first of all, who are we? We are really a cross-section of voters across all 22 towns in the county. We are the big tent party. And I love the analogy of the big tent, because the big tent is usually held up by a center pole, and that center pole is our values and our core principles. As long as that tent is supported by that pole and everyone can see that pole, we can absorb an awful lot of difference, from the very left-leaning towards progressive side of the tent to the very right-leaning conservative side of the tent. As long as everyone can adhere to that pole in the center, there's a lot of space in there. What we want to avoid, and what our county tries to avoid, our county committee, is getting trapped into, and I'm sorry the picture is so small, that tiny little tent on one issue, where one issue captures, this is what you have to be in the party. So we try to keep the party expansive, because there's a lot of issues out there that need to be addressed, and we think Democrats have valid concerns and arguments that need to be brought into that tent more than just one. What we believe, sorry for the art chart, this is right out of our platform, 2018 political platform. I'll save you the reading on it. There's 4 big things that our party believes as core values or principles and beliefs. The first is, there is a set of values: opportunity, fairness, equality, equity, community, safety, stewardship, and democracy. Those are our values that we go with. The second plank of the platform, or second principle, has to do with government. We want responsive and accountable government that serves the people and serves everyone and empowers the people, and that is available for the community to participate in, both by sending up ideas and being representatives and participating in that government. The third thing has to do with taxes. Democrats believe that a fair and just tax system is possible, and it doesn't have to do with just cutting taxes all the time. It is about serving the common good for the benefit of everyone. So that is a key component. And then our fourth speaks kind of to our national as well, our national principles, which is we do believe that the way the Republicans are moving forward right now is very divisive. It's not bringing the country together. And we as Democrats need to be offering a counter, a better alternative to what is being presented by the Republicans. And I know I'm speaking fast, but if you have any questions, let me know. How we're organized? So the county committee is only one part. As a major party, we organize at the town level, at the state level, or town level, county level, and the state level. So we have 22 towns in Windham County. Of those right now, we have 19 with town committees in them. To have a town committee, you just need to have 3 members, 3 voters. Again, we don't register as Democrat or Progressive or Republican. So the requirement is just 3 voters who want to form a Democratic committee. 22 incorporated towns, so we could have 22 committees if we got all the town committees activated. There are 3 scheduled caucuses during the year. These are the 3 activities that a town committee does have to do if it forms. The first caucus is to actually form itself and say we're a town committee. The second caucus will be after the presidential primary, and that is going to be to send delegates up to the state convention. And then the third caucus is in August, and that is to pick the candidates for justices of the peace for your town. So those are the 3 essential activities of the town committee. Beyond that, the activities vary. We have some towns that meet regularly on a monthly basis and have activities of their own, bringing candidates to talk issues. We have some towns that only meet for the caucuses, and that's it. One of the things that towns do also, though, is they do select delegates and elect delegates to go up to the county level. And that's where I chair at the moment. The county, because we have about 70 delegates, can be more active. We have a little more resource available to us in terms of human capacity. We also have the state legislators and state senators who sit on the county level. And then finally, we form an executive committee of our own to run that county level. The county meets on a monthly basis. We actually meet tonight, the first Monday of every month. We meet up at Holton Hall. Those are open meetings. So if you ever want to attend one, you're more than welcome to join us. And we work with the town committees and legislators to set up events. And those events can be everything from introducing candidates to the local public, issue-based events. We did an environmental forum about a month ago at the library. Get out the vote events. This is where a lot of the action happens at the county level. Our county also sends up 3 delegates to the state level, and then 3 alternate delegates to the state level. And the state party meets quarterly. Yes?
Where's Holton Hall?
Holton Hall is in the Winston Prouty, is that the right term? The old Austin School. Yeah, on the top floor. Yeah. We're meeting there at the moment. We might move the space, but we'll get the note out on that. So at the county level, really it's the town committees and the county committee, and that's where most of the action is going to occur. What we do? Well, first thing we do is we identify and nominate candidates. And if you look at a ballot in Windham County, the federal level is the president, the 2 senators, and the congressman. At the state level, the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, state treasurer, and the auditor of accounts. And at the county level, we have 2 senators, state's attorney, a probate judge, 2 side judges, a sheriff, and the high bailiff. Those are all elected positions, and the party identifies candidates for those. And then at the state house level, we have 12 representatives across the county. If you're in a what I call a high population center like Brattleboro, there's 3 representatives for Brattleboro. If you're in a lower, less dense population area, you might have 1 representative covering 3 towns. But it's proportioned out by population. So these are all the positions. In addition to that, every town, as I mentioned before, identifies and nominates justices of the peace for their own town. And at the moment, as of November 2018, this is how the county looks if you look at where candidates have been selected. It is a pretty blue county, and that's not a surprise to a lot of people. We have 2 independents, you might not be able to see it here. Laura Sibilia and Kelly Payala out on the western edge of the county are independents. They do not caucus with the Democrats. They are independent. David Zuckerman, our lieutenant governor, identifies as a progressive/Democrat, caucuses with the Democrats. The same with Bernie as our our U.S. senator, independent, who caucuses with the Democrats. What else do we do besides identify candidates? We explore issues and we look at policy. We have a lot of engaged individuals who participate at the county level. They have issues that they bring in, and we want to look at those issues and what they are. Our platform, our state platform, identifies these 8 issue areas: economic opportunity, environmental stewardship, government, equality and diversity, building healthy communities, external issues affecting Vermont, and those are international, so things like climate change and human rights. And then finally, we have a large National Guard in Vermont, does a lot of deployment, so there's a concern about military issues as well. All of these issues come up in our platform, and as we're talking with our legislators, these are the issues that we're engaging with them about, and when we're talking to the community, we're finding out how do these issues impact the different communities. This really is where the town committees are so important, because what goes on in Bellows Falls is very different than what goes on in Whitingham or Newfane or Vernon. And we need those town committees to be bringing in those diverse perspectives so that our party, again, Big Tent Party, is covering the needs of the entire the county. Back to those common values and principles, as I said, we might get these diverse perspectives, but we do have that central core of what of our values and our principles. We also inform and engage citizens. And probably the biggest thing parties do, and we'll be moving into this with 2020, is the get out the vote. Once we've identified good candidates, good Democratic candidates, we clearly want to get people out there voting for them. So this is the classic informing people about the candidates, making sure they know their polling places, making sure they're registered, making sure they have a way to get to the polling places on the primary day and on the general election day. In addition to that, we run issue panels. We do community listening sessions, encourage legislator accountability. The legislators every month come to our county committee and they report to us on what they've been doing. And they take questions, and that is our way to kind of push them and say, are you meeting our expectations as representatives of the different towns meeting together as the county. We put out action alerts. So if we realize there's a big vote coming up in the legislature and the senators or the House reps need to have a little bit of encouragement, we put out the action alerts asking you to contact your senator, your House reps, and letting them know what's coming up. And finally, we like to share ideas with like-minded groups. And one of the reasons I put this presentation together is this is a presentation that can be taken and shared with other groups that maybe aren't political but are very interested in one particular issue. And this is an opportunity to share what we do and compare and collaborate with them. So that brings us to the third part, which is the 2020 campaign coming up. I like to think of it as about 5 or 6 large rocks that we're going to be rolling in the next year. And each of those rocks is an opportunity for someone to get behind that rock and help us push it. And that can be an individual or that can be a group. The first rock is reorganizing the party. So every 2 years in Vermont, on the odd year, and that's this fall, the entire party has to reorganize. And that's at the town level, the county level, and the state level. This is the caucus that happens in September. So step number 1 is in September, every town, voters have to get together and form a new town committee for the Democratic Party. It has to be at least 3 voters in that committee. There are 5 positions that have to be filled, but you can double fill a position. So that's possible. Ideally, though, we have not only the 5 officer positions filled, but we have more individuals as well. Town committee then plans activities for the next year, thinking ahead. What can we be doing as the Democratic committee to prepare for the election, to inform the voters, to support the candidates? And then finally, and this is important, it is at that town caucus in September that we elect the delegates to the county level. So if you want to work in the Democratic Party at the county level or the state level, you have to make sure at the town caucus that your name is the one that is voted up. And depending on the size of your town, there's a different number of delegates from each town that are moved up to the county level. The county will do its reorganization then in October. All the delegates who are selected by the new town committees will come together to form the new county committee. We elect our own officer and executive committee. We also, in turn, elect the delegates up to the state level, which are the 3 delegates and 3 alternates. And then the state does its reorganization in November. So by December, there will be a brand new Democratic Party in the state of Vermont. New town committees, new county committee, new state committee. And this is really my encouragement and invitation. If you want to participate in the Democratic Party, this is where it begins. Showing up at one of these town committee caucuses, and getting yourself in at the very bottom. And then don't just wait. If you're interested in working in the county or the state committee, we always need good delegates. You do not have to have been in the town committee for 10 years before you go up. You can move very quickly up into the county level to support them. Throughout 2019, we'll also be doing more issue discussions, so you can be looking for that as well. So the next big rock is the Democratic National Convention, which is being held in Milwaukee in July 13 through 16 of 2020. So 1 year and a week from now, 1 year and 2 weeks from now, will be the National Convention in Milwaukee. Vermont has 16 delegates that we have to select through our political party process to participate in that. We have 2 alternates, and then we have 3 members in the standing committees who also we need to select. That can be anyone. In Vermont, anyone can go up to be a delegate. The only criteria is you have to be of voting age by November of 2020. So you could go to and be a delegate at the age of 17 if someone has the driving interest to do that. Big dates to be aware of if you want to participate in selecting the delegates. The first is the presidential primaries, March 3rd. That is where Vermont, it's also town meeting day. That's where Vermonters will go. You'll have to select a ballot, Democrat, Republican, or Progressive for the president, and vote on that. This is the key. You have to, if you want to participate in the democratic process for the National Convention, you have to select the Democratic ballot. And you'll be marked off your name as selecting the Democratic ballot. Not who you voted for, but that you took that ballot. That list will go to the town. So when they caucus on April 21st, they're going to have that list of here's all the Democrats from the town, or here's all the people who took Democratic ballots from the town. And those are the only people who can participate in the caucus and select it and be a delegate up to the state level. The state convention meets on May 30th, and they select 11 of the delegates to go to Milwaukee. And then those 11 will select the other 5 delegates and the committee members at a meeting on June 13th. So by June 13th, all 16 will be picked. So if you want to go to Milwaukee, it begins with voting or selecting a Democratic ballot on March 3rd for the presidential primary. If you want to support this process, the same deal. The next big rock is our own party platform has to be rewritten. And that is going to occur on August 21st. Delegates for that come out of the county level. So again, that September town caucus, if you want to participate in this process, you have to be thinking ahead in this September, getting to the county level, and so you can participate in the party platform convention. One other interesting note, it's at this convention that we also select the presidential electors. So Vermont has 3 voters on the Electoral College. So when the Democrat, whoever it is, wins in November of 2020, 3 Vermonters will go up and cast a vote for that Democrat. Those individuals are picked and selected at that convention. If you're interested in doing that, this is the opportunity to do it. Next thing we need, obviously, are candidates. Now, we have a number of excellent incumbents, but we are always looking for more Democrats. People who agree with our values and our principles, and who want to serve. As the party level, what we do during the primary season, which starts about April and runs till August, is we just keep the individuals informed. We keep the public informed on what's going on, who the candidates are, how they match up to democratic values. But we do not get into the incumbent versus challenger debate. We might host the debate, but we're not part of the debate as the party. If you want to be a candidate, the dates to know, April 27th to May 28th are when you have to have your petitions into the Secretary of State's office if you want to run as a Democrat, or as a Republican, hopefully run as a Democrat. From there until August 11th, which is the primary election, that's the primary season. On August 11th is the state primary election. After that, we will have our list of candidates to go into the general election. And clearly, that's when the Windham County Democratic Party gets very engaged in supporting those candidates to make sure they are the ones elected in Windham County come November 2nd which is the general election. And then finally, there's always a chance to participate or collaborate with the Democratic Party. As you go through all of those activities, there are chances to bring in issues and perspectives and new values and ideas, and we need to be hearing those from everyone. So whether it's with Get Out the Vote events, issue forums, candidate forums, or supporting specific candidates, we encourage you and invite you to participate with us. This is an open process, and the more of us that participate in it, the stronger our party is, and therefore I believe the stronger Vermont is and the stronger our country is. So my concluding invitation, please feel free to join us. Come out to our meetings, ask questions, follow us on Facebook if you want to follow what we're doing there, send us emails, volunteer. This is a people's party. It is a party of us. And as I said just previously, the more of us in it, the better. So with that, I'm going to conclude the formal presentation part. And I did have little slips as reminders that I'll pass out here of how you can reach us. And I wanted to leave the rest of the time as question or discussion. If anyone had any ideas that came up out of this that they wanted to present or share. It's my first time giving this presentation.
A lot of speakers, I have a little hearing problem, and
Yeah.
lots of times I can't understand the speaker, and I understood every word, so
Oh.
that's really good.
My wife told me to speak really loud.
Well, no, you wasn't, you didn't, it's not the,
It's distinct.
it's the, can't think of words anymore, but the way you articulate,
Oh, well, thank you.
and you do it very well.
So are you all from Brattleboro, or are you
Dummerston.
Dummerston? Brattleboro. So both, well, like every other town in the county, you all will be caucusing in September to form your new town committees.
Yeah, so you'll be in the reformer.
It will be. It'll be. We have to announce those caucuses in in at least 2 different forums, and then in 3 different places in town.
I think our town is, ever since it's one thing, our town, somebody yells at us and says, you gotta be here.
Yeah, yeah. At Dummerston, you can almost go door to door and say, "You gonna be there? You gonna be there?" Hey.
I haven't ever gone to a caucus meeting, but I worked in headquarters.
Yeah. And that's another good point. We will be running a county Democratic office starting in the summer of 2020 as well. And we'll be needing help with
A lot
that.
of work in the office. Plus, we also enroll voters.
Yes.
We did a lot of that in the early 2000s. We had a big campaign. We'd sit out here every day. But they dropped that a lot.
So Vermont allows you to register to vote on the same day as voting. So
Yeah, they changed the registration laws so that you didn't have to have a person registering, and I can't remember, this was early 2000s, when House was running, but they've changed it, but the thing is that people don't know they can do it.
yeah. So it is getting the word out there as well.
And then people used to come to the post office and register. Well, there were a lot of women that sat there.
Did the register.
And registered. And we literally sat outside. We found out that the women who were, say, 38, 40 and over, or under 40, they did not get registered. They didn't know how the voting process worked.
Well, and that brings up a good point I didn't mention that I'll add in future presentations, which is we need help getting the word out. And that can be writing letters to the editor. That can be giving informative presentations like this one to people. But there's a lot of, I think there's genuinely a lot of people who want to participate, but they don't know how the process works, so they kind of stand back.
Well, the problem is they don't read newspapers.
So
I mean, they don't read newspapers, so they either have to get it on Facebook or
And your email.
Yeah.
I get so much political email.
yes,
Most of which I junk.
But, yeah, I don't know how you find your address.
and that kind of also speaks to the breadth of the constituency we need. We need those younger voters who understand social media and how to use it effectively. We need older voters who know how to speak to people who don't use social media and are, don't want to get involved in email or social media, but want to have that one-on-one engagement as well.
And I used to set up phone banks, but that's very distressing because cell phones, it didn't work well. And then they would keep giving us the same list to call.
Yeah.
And I said, how many times are you going to put that in front of us for us to call? I had a woman call me, she said, you guys really need to call me 6 times.
Yeah.
Do not call me anymore. And that's when I realized that they were recycling the lists at the headquarters.
We, all of that starts at the town level, getting the town list and then kind of cleaning them up. And that's why the towns are so important.
Yeah, well, we tried cleaning them up, if you notice though, the phone book doesn't have any numbers anymore, and it's because of cell phones.
Yeah,
So you don't know how to get hold of them.
it's true.
It's very hard to do a phone bank.
Unless you know the person.
Yeah, robocalling is all you do, and I hate robocalling, so I won't answer the phone.
Yeah, we have to, as Democrats, we have to be thinking about how do we reach people in a way that doesn't irritate them, like 6 phone calls, as you pointed out.
Yeah,
But does connect with them so that they don't just see an email that's so easy to delete.
How about mailbox mail? Mail.
A direct mail is an option to go back to, and that is one of the arguments
I
for
find
using
that,
direct mail.
something that has like a nice picture or something interesting, at least look at it.
Well, it is the most expensive, but it is the best way.
So, one last pitch I'll point out is on the 4th of July parade, the Windham County delegates, Windham County legislators, some of them will be marching in the parade. That's open to any Democrats who'd like to march with the Windham County
Is it on the 4th
Democrats.
of July or on the 5th of July?
4th of July, meeting at 9:30 at the high school and marching up here onto Main Street.
Honestly, it was on the 4th.
Yeah, the 4th, absolutely. Any other questions or thoughts? Thank you for coming out, I appreciate it, and have a great day. And here's our contact info. If you have any questions or ideas
If
after.
you get elected, they can put up cell phone towers all over the state.
What's that?
Cell phone towers.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest problem, this is my particular, the other thing that I'm interested in politics.
Oh,
Our
right.
schools are closing like mad.
Yeah.
The reason schools are closing is there are not enough children. The reason there are enough children is there are enough young people. The reason there are enough young people is because all of those young people's jobs involve cell phones.
Yeah.
And if you can't find a place to live where you get cell phone reception,
Yeah. So that is,
I think
economic.
that is primary.
Yeah. So that's an excellent example. Economic development, I was speaking with a couple of our legislators last week, and that is a critical thing. How do we bring more young people
They
in?
did pass
Yeah.
the law to increase the
Broadband.
broadband.
Yeah,
Now,
Cell phones,
but the broadband is different than cell phone.
correct.
cell phones is what people really need.
I mean, my children come to Massachusetts, and I find down in Manchester, say, you cannot make a phone call on Route 30. You have to wait till you get out to the top of the hill in Brattleboro
Yeah.
to call. And no matter how good their phones are.
Yeah. So how do we, and this is one of those issue areas that we'll be doing. In fact, I think we have a panel coming up in Newfane on this very issue of how do we encourage economic development in the area.
I just have
Yeah,
a wild suggestion.
please.
What you need is more jobs. In order to have jobs, you need a company. Is there any way that the state of Vermont can say to some big company, come up here, we won't charge you any taxes for 3 years if you'll come up here?
So these are the debates that are going on, the
I mean, that's
discussion.
the kind of thing you've got to get somebody up here that wants people, and so you develop the economy.
Yeah, that is
The other thing
discussion
to
for Windham.
remind everybody is that 20 years from now, people are going to live in Vermont because it's going to be hotter than hell in the rest of the country,
And we'll have water.
and we'll have water.
And they can't take our water. They've already passed a law that no company can come in and take our water, our underwater. which is extremely important.
So I hear economic development is important to you.
I think it's essential. If the state's gonna go in place, it's,
My problem is the 48% of people that don't read.
Okay, so education for you.
I mean, no, it's a culture thing.
Oh, the cultural part of not.
It's a cultural thing. You're the only, there are only certain people I know I can go to who are going to be talking to the choir that are going to be running your committee.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and those people, most of them are at the co-op or certain organizations, teachers, the retired teachers.
you go to the average bar and everybody's sitting there, they don't talk to each other and the kids don't
They're
talk to
just
each other.
looking at their phones.
They're just fine. And the kids, I think it's horrifying that the kids do that.
But now the kids that are coming out of the universities are going to vote, but they have to make it easy for them to vote. My granddaughter, there was so much going on that she had to vote in Massachusetts. She didn't get to vote in 2018 because it got screwed up, the election. And I'm not sure how easy we make it in Vermont for out-of-towners to vote.
Absentee ballots in Vermont are very easy to get.
But I mean, to go back and vote in their home state for presidential.
That really is, whatever state you vote in is the state whose rules
So
will
there,
drive that.
yeah, so I'm not sure how our rules are working. It would be interesting to know how flexible we are.
Vermont is one of the more progressive states on voting. You can register the same day. You can be 17 at the time of the primary and vote as long as you're 18 by the time the general election occurs.
Even a college student.
College students as well. You can, as long as you register on that day, you can't register in Vermont clearly and then also go vote in Massachusetts. That would
Yeah,
be
I
illegal.
think there was a time frame when she had to get something done with Massachusetts.
It's not the case with Vermont. And then I think the other thing is absentee ballots in Vermont are very permissive. Vermont doesn't, you can just go to your town clerk's office early.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Go in, they say that I walk in, make my vote, and,
Yep.
you know, it's done.
well,
Well, thank you
from the old
very much,
school,
Bob. Did you have,
we
No,
don't,
I just saw your sign as I was passing, and I said, let me check this out.
You missed a good talk.
I know.
good talk.
I'll be doing it again.
She's
so.
very
Very
organized.
good.
Great.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you to BCTV for filming this as well.
Our pleasure.